Get off your feet and on the edge of your seat. News and Views is about to begin now. As always, I'd like to welcome you right here to News and Views. I'm your host, Charlie Hale. Joining me, my three counterparts, as always, Mr. Brian Ireland in his pink shirt. Lovely Brian Ireland. In the 2 slot, you got Kamal Dockett and our fighting pastor, Pastor Mark Glenn. You guys are going to hit each other one of these times. I think we just all try that. Come on, let's try it real quick.
That was hilarious last week.
That was last week. Yeah, last week we all went off the air doing that. I don't even know what made us do that, but
We should see who can do it longest.
Oh, wow.
Without dying from out of breath.
somebody. It looks like it reminds me of basketball. Somebody's traveling.
It was supposed to be a bag, and you go like this, right?
Oh, wow.
It's a speed bag.
Right.
That's Mark. But
Right.
Problem is, it probably hits you in the face.
Probably.
Right, folks. P.O. Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri 63188. We want to hear from you. What's on your hearts and minds? We want to share it right here on News and Views. It's News and Views, P.O. Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri 63188. By the way, check us out through email as well. Free and easy. News and Views at knlc.tv. That is News and Views at knlc.tv. Also on our social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, right there on the screen. Please check us out. We want to hear what's on your mind. Share it right here on News and Views. First up, Mr. Brian Ireland.
Yeah, well, something that a lot of economists and labor leaders have worried about in recent years is the rising influence of technology in the workplace. And it's something we've talked about before, how a lot of jobs are slowly but surely disappearing as corporations and businesses replace them with computers because it's cheaper. You might have to fix a computer every now and then, but by and large, after a computer is somewhere, you don't need it to do anything. They've talked about truck drivers. A lot of jobs, like they think even within 5 to 10 years, there won't be people doing them. Well, we all know here in the St. Louis area about grocery stores. It's probably been, I don't know, 5 years, maybe even longer that you've had when you check out, you can just
Self-checkout?
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's been good.
It's been at least 5.
Well, it's been
probably,
over
maybe more.
10.
Maybe, yeah. They've had that. Well, Amazon now is going to have.
Has it been 10 years? I don't know if it's been that long.
It's been a
Maybe
while.
It's been a while, yeah. At least
5 to
10 years.
10. I'd say 5 to 10. Well, Amazon is now expanding that to what we all, or some people at least, feared when they first started the self-checkout, and that are stores with no cashiers at all. And I know Kamal's read up about this a little bit. He knows maybe a little bit more about how the store works, but basically you would go into these Amazon stores with your phone, and what, Kamal, you just check with your phone and basically check out through your phone, not deal with another employee, and that's how you would purchase your goods.
Right.
There would be some employees still at these Amazon stores, I guess, stocking the shelves and things.
Right.
But when I read that, I
Technical
also
problems, too. You have technical issues that they need to be there for.
You would, but even when I read about how they said, well, it's not totally no people working there because there would be still people there stocking the shelves, I immediately thought a Schnuck store that even in St. Louis today, they have a computer, a robot, that is now stocking the shelves. I think it's the Schnucks on Clayton Road in Richmond Heights, where in the evening, literally a robot stocks or at least checks the inventory on the shelf. So how long will it be that we even have people doing that? So
Right.
I don't know. Is this something good because it's more efficient, or is it something scary?
I think it's the way that technology is going, that you can have where you can just go in with your cell phone.
Yeah, Mark, just explain how would you do it now?
Yeah, basically what you would do is that we all know that everything has barcodes on them.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is primarily microchipped on some level. And basically all you would do is that when you go into the Amazon stores, and keep in mind, Amazon also bought out Whole Foods. Whole Foods has about 500, around 470, 500 stores across the nation, and we have some of them here in St. Louis. So, and I'm quite sure they're going to implement them there. But you would just go in, there won't be any clerks or lines, and then you would just go straight to the aisles that you're, so if you're going to buy bread and milk, you would just literally go in, hold your device up to the bread, scan the barcode, and then it would deduct from your account. Quite naturally, you would already have to have a Amazon account in order to do this, and then you would just proceed to go get your milk, scan it, and then you would just
It's gonna
simply
be like
walk
a
out the
vending
store.
machine, though. You hold it up, and then the milk falls down.
Well, no, I'm talking about it would just be on the shelves.
How are you gonna keep people from stealing?
Well, you would have to scan it. When you scan it, it deactivates the alert. Because you know now many things that now you can just have a RDF radio frequency
understand.
in it. So if you try to just go in and just walk out with a loaf of bread, it will be a
So they're
buzzer.
you think there's going to be an employee standing at the door making sure that they have
It could
you have a
be.
receipt, you paid for all the items that you've obviously bagged yourself.
Well, they wouldn't have to because everything would have alerts on them. So if you deactivate the alert on it, then you can just freely walk out. But if you don't, that's like, for instance, if you go to somewhere like Macy's or a department store, if you try to stick something else in that bag, you know what I'm saying? You're going to get a buzzer.
Or a library with a library book.
Right, with a library book,
Right.
there has to be a
code
deactivation
on the
code
thing.
on it, and it deactivated when you
So
hold
basically, it
your
would
device
beep
up
if
to
you
it.
walked out without
Right.
scanning it first.
But we've heard this before, right? About the new technological advances and the loss of jobs. So you gentlemen feel that this is going to be the tipping point in terms of loss of jobs? Because each time we've had a technological wave and an advancement, jobs have gone other areas, right? So are we looking at jobs going to other areas besides being a cashier or
Yeah, well,
a
I think it's
bagger?
scary because not everybody's going to be a computer. There'll be jobs for people who know about how to program computers, go into these stores and fix the computers. There'll be a growing industry for people who are computer savvy and went to school for computer science. But for just the average rank and file laborer who used to be able to work as a truck driver or stocking the shelves, as these jobs disappear, that scares me. I don't think it's a
You
good
don't see
thing.
these jobs going to in some other field where they could work?
I mean, the only thing that
yeah,
can work
but-
is technology. Where else would
But
they
I'm
go?
talking about how would you go from if
Not
I'm the
everybody's a
clerk?
technology person.
If I'm the clerk and I've been doing this type of work for years, where else would I go? I would have to try to go to somewhere else. That and it even like you said the trucking industry. Who is it? Nick Tesla is trying to come up with lines of freights that just drive themselves
It's
state to
driverless-
state.
yeah, driverless trucks.
Where they can
You
just
don't need a
patch
truck
in a
driver.
route from Illinois to Missouri, from Earth City to wherever, and it just goes, and you don't even need a driver.
Right.
You know, so this is the wave of
It's
the
all about
future.
money. It's all about saving money. The problem is you're taking the laborer, you're taking him out of the family,
I
I mean, what
family
else can
unit,
you
out of the
do?
economy.
I mean, what this?
How's he
Which
gonna?
means they
How's
can't
it,
spend money.
how are they gonna exactly? How are they gonna go buy anything?
Right, but
If
the
they don't
whole
have a
thing is that
job,
if you know something
Right.
is coming,
they might. It's okay for a corporation to save money, but who's gonna be there to buy anything anyway at some point?
right? But if you know something is coming, if I'm a clerk, I need to start preparing that my job.
I still think that's about 10 years away. I don't think that's happening anytime soon.
it's happening soon.
I don't think so. I don't think
It's
so.
happening soon.
First of all, the self checkout, they just tried to see how it was going to work. I don't
Right.
like going to self checkout myself.
Oh, really?
I don't like it at
love
all.
it. That's all I do is self
I
checkout.
don't like it. It gets on my nerves. Half the
Right.
time, the thing doesn't work. You got to make sure you put your item right in the bag at the
Yeah,
right
I
time.
feel
Otherwise,
you.
it beeps. You got to get somebody to come help you.
that's true.
Just go through it. Scan
But
it,
I choose
have
to
them
do
bag it
it. I
before you go.
really like standing in line dealing with a clerk.
Why? You don't like the personal up
I like the
Interaction, right.
because
Interaction.
the reason why is for me is
taking
that
people
where
away from each
I
other.
live at, the Snooks that I go to, a lot of people don't do self checkout. So the self checkout is always available to go through for some reason.
That's because you have to, like Brian said, you have to be computer savvy even to work
Some of it
those.
is, but once you know how to do it, like when people get a salad, you have to know that you have to punch in the
it.
code. It's a code on there. Some things you have to weigh, and then it prices you by, like if you buy bananas don't have barcodes on them, so you have to put. See, I know all of these things because I'm not going to go to the clerk.
Why? You have something against the clerk?
I have nothing personally
Well, if there was
against the
nobody
clerk.
in line, would you go to the clerk or go to the self checkout?
I feel like the self checkout is more friendly.
No conversation at all?
See, I can just speak to myself while I'm checking
Well, that's
out.
nothing new,
And I don't have to.
You even answer
I
yourself
have to
these
deal
days.
with an angry clerk, so I'd
not
rather
all
deal with
angry.
I'd rather deal with a computer. Say, hey, how you doing, Mr. Dockett, today?
I would
So-
like to deal with people, honestly. I'm a people person. I like that
You are.
interaction with somebody and
Right.
too.
little
I do too.
teasing here.
Well,
little
it's the
teasing there.
wave of the future.
I've done a self checkout, and I had a friend to help me
Mm-hmm.
get through it, and it wasn't really that bad, and it was a little bit faster.
It
Right,
is.
but I still prefer looking at a person and greeting them and smiling with them and asking them questions. I still enjoy that human touch.
Okay.
I agree, 100%. It's about the attitude and kind of
Right.
getting out and doing your thing. But I don't like them.
I got you. Well,
I
they
like
the wave of the
self-checkouts.
future. They coming.
What do you think, folks? Write us. We'll be right back.
Thank you, Club 24 members. Before your feet hit the floor in the morning, before the sun even rises, there are nearly 200 homeless men who've been kept warm through the night at 1411 Locust Street alone because of your Club 24 membership. Thank you.
Welcome back. Just heard from Brian Ireland. By the way, right before the break, I said write us. In order to do that, you might need the address. News and Views, P.O. Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri, 63188. We want to hear from you. This time, I'm going to turn it over to Kamal Dockett.
Yes, there's been a growing concern in the city of St. Louis with the population that has been shrinking for several years now due to violence and different other crime and different issues that have been facing the St. Louis region. And as a result of that, there is more and more talk about allowing outside individuals from St. Louis County to Illinois to be able to work for the city of St. Louis. Currently, the charter states that you must be a St. Louis City resident for at least 120 days before you can apply for anything as far as employment in the city of St. Louis. So the question I guess I want to pose to the panel is that, is this good? Is this good? Many people are arguing saying that, well, no, it's not good because you're going to have people coming from Alton, Illinois, Belleville, or St. Charles or St. Louis County getting paid and then taking their money back to their community.
Right.
But on the other hand, many people are arguing and saying that, yeah, but at one time we had hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people living in the city. Now that it's shrunk down to 300,000,
And I think it's going to get less as time goes on.
And we don't have qualified people or enough qualified people. And if we got somebody that lives 10 minutes away that is more qualified, why would we not hire that person just because they're outside of the city limits?
I think the person needs to live in the city that they're working for. They need
Even
to
with a shrinking
they need to be-
population.
yeah, they need to be vested in the community that they work for, like a police officer, or you have a first responder. They need to live in the community. They need to feel what the citizens of that community feel on a daily basis to be more tuned in and more plugged in as to what they're serving. If you're living over in Collinsville or on the east side and you don't have to deal with some of the things that the residents are dealing with in St. Louis, how can you be effective when you don't really know what's going on? That's like trying to be a boss of a corporation that you never show up in.
Yeah, but that's only a small percentage of the jobs. I'm talking about all the people that work in forestry and park divisions. A lot of these
But
jobs
why-
they can't fill.
Yes, I think they need to live in the city. They need to give back to their
To
community.
pick up trash.
But they would care if they
Yes.
live in the city. They would care maybe if
They
the
don't
trees,
care now.
If the trees are trimmed and the park looks nice.
They don't look
Since
good
they
now.
live in the city, they'll be more. I see what Charlie's saying. They'll care more because this
They'll
is
want it
their
to look nice.
neighborhood.
It's their community.
Yeah, but the whole thing is that it don't look good now.
and you
Then,
lose
then,
the
then
taxes.
who are you hiring? Think about who you're hiring and what they're doing.
Right, that's what they're arguing. It
But
said
for
that we have
instance-
a poor selection because we only can choose from a few 100,000 people. And keep in mind, most of the city is understaffed right
What
now.
makes the city think that by hiring somebody from Belleville, Collinsville, or St. Charles, bringing them in is going to make the community of downtown St. Louis look any better? Those people are going to care less because they're living in a
they're
nice
saying
place.
that where it would make, for one thing, anytime you have more people you can hire, it would make those people that are applying in the city say that anybody can come for my job now.
But I think the whole thing is that if you're going to work in the city of St. Louis, you should invest in the city of St. Louis. So therefore, your tax dollars and your
So
spending.
do you
everything
invest in Overland? No. So the whole thing is that
Well,
shadows
Wait a minute. That's,
Oh.
no, that's not even an argument. The city of Overland and taxpayers of Overland do not pay Mark his paycheck. The people that work for the forestry division,
But he works
police,
in Overland.
first responders, taxpayers
Not the
are
same
actually
thing.
paying
It
for
is
those
the
people's
same thing.
services.
thing.
It is the same
It's
thing.
not the same thing. He's
Well,
actually,
in that case, you need to work
he's
where
paying
you
city
live at.
taxes in a city that he doesn't even live in
That's right.
by working in Overland.
That's right. So let me go back to my point originally. Okay.
Is that
If
fair?
you-
That's fair.
I think it's more than
No,
fair.
it's not.
And I think it's more, now listen, if you work for the city of St. Louis, you should invest in the city of St. Louis, and that means living in the city of St. Louis. It means spending your money in the city of St. Louis. And I guarantee you, if we get people to start doing that and stay to it, the city will increase. The population of the city will increase, and you'll get better candidates for
Well,
jobs.
they got to deal with the 200 murders for one thing. That's what is
Well, that's
deflecting
where- that's
people
where-
from
that's
not
where- that's
living.
where- that's where
I mean,
Helm-
there's already been. We ain't
that's
even out
where-
the month of January. There's already been 15, 16 murders. So I mean, that's a fear factor for a lot of people. But also too, what about the high end jobs like the treasuries and different things like that? When they saying that if we can do a more wide St. Louis region search for an individual.
All right, do your search, right? This is a person comes from out of state, right?
Well, we're not
Pick-
talking about out of state.
right.
You would have to live in the St. Louis area.
But you could come,
Why?
Why?
If they're not
You
living
could
in the
hire
city,
somebody.
they could-
What
Well,
all
you
they're
make it
saying is
anywhere.
that okay, this say we have the treasurer for the city of St. Louis, that job is up. And we instead of just looking for people that reside in the city, which is only a few 100,000, why not being able to go from Belleville to Collinsville to St. Charles to Wentzville, where we can have 2 to 3 million people?
I don't have a
from.
problem with that. But once you hire the person, they move to St. Louis. They get a house in St. Louis.
That is requiring them. to
I'm
live in
saying
St.
they
Louis.
spend money in St. Louis. What's
Yeah,
wrong with that?
I'm talking about right now.
You're saying
That's
the
how you-
candidates are going to be, they're not going to be as good because they're not going to want to live in St. Louis. So your pool to choose from is going to be less. That's what he's trying to say. But I still think if you work for the city, you live in the city.
Yeah, I
so,
don't
too.
really agree.
I think so, too.
I think that I
That's
don't
fine. You
agree
can
with that.
disagree
I
if you
think I think that I think that what it does is
I
that
disagree
it
with
make-
you. So
I think that what it does is that if you know that you can have a wider selection of people, it makes that person, whoever's in that position, say that anybody can come from my job in the St. Louis region. And so I think that, yes, because at the end of the day, the St. Louis is suffering. They need to fill positions, and that's why this whole
St. Louis
debate
is suffering
coming up.
because they don't get the crime rate under control.
Schools.
Therefore, you need
crime.
more police officers. You need more direction. I don't think the people that are people don't know what's going on out there.
Right.
You're sending police officers here, police officers there. Go trigger the points that are hot commodity. Straighten up those neighborhoods. Get
Well,
those
that's
people
what the
out of
new
there.
police chief is trying to
Some
do.
of the police officers won't even go down these major streets
No,
because
they
they're
won't.
scared they're just going to get shot.
They
They're just
won't.
going to shoot at the car.
Right, right, and that's
And the
real.
problem is, if our own president back in the time wasn't going to support the police officers going down the street, he'd rather go to a funeral to one of the guys that actually shot the police officer than go to the police officer. When you have government officials not backing each other, why would the police officer go down the street and try to make peace in a community when he's not going to get backed up? That's the problem right there, Kamal.
I mean, to some degree, it is, But at the end of the day, I think that if you open up the door for regionally wise for people to be hired, I think it will make for a better city of St.
Brian,
Louis.
your last minute
People
comments.
moving
You've been
out
pretty
anyway.
quiet on this subject. What do you think, real quick?
Yeah, I think that they should keep it. That you have to live in the city. I think number one, you're invested more in the community. Number two, you get the taxes from property taxes, things like that. Otherwise, you could have people coming from the county, get a job in the city, and then they'd still have to pay an earnings tax, but they would take the majority of their taxes back to the county. So it's just like they're leeching off of the city and they're not invested. And as far as police go, if you waive that requirement, the police aren't going to say, well, why do I still have to live in this? You have to waive for the police
Well,
too.
St. Louis
Which
County
means
do that then?
None of the police would have to live in the city. That means they could all not be invested in the city. Now, the firemen, police, they could all live somewhere else, just come down and
Right.
get their checks and go home.
Yeah, but right.
It
but I can see for
diminishes-
fire and safety. But what if the county did
But
that?
they're not going to let them exempt. The police aren't going to say, well, everybody else doesn't have to live in the city, but we still do. You have to let the police live wherever they want
So
to.
what
then.
if St. Louis County said that we don't want city residents working in St. Louis County?
They could do that? I believe that if you
Would that be fair?
if you get hired by, if you're giving off the taxpayer dime, not a private business, but like you're working for the government, I think that those entities should have the right on who they hire. And if they want people working for them that live in their community, I think that's their right.
I agree with that.
Well, it's the voters that's going to decide at the end of the day. No, for real, it's going to be.
If
that's
it
gonna
came
have
to it, it
if
would
it
have
came
to.
to it,
Yeah.
they can't just change it. It would have to be a vote.
Right. It's a good topic. It's a good topic.
Yeah.
I think they just need to stay in the city. Kamal thinks otherwise. What do you think at home? Right, it's News and Views, P.O. Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri, 63188. We'll be right back.
Is the rich and powerful are doing everything they can to declare homeless people in downtown St. Louis a nuisance and stop New Life Evangelistic Center 1411 Locust from sheltering them. Your prayers are needed now. Your love is needed now for the Jesus, the homeless one, who said, as oft you've done to the least of these, even so you've done it unto me. Protect this last major walk-in shelter at 1411 Locust Street. Help with the Legal Defense Fund now. Yes, share with the Greater St. Louis Homeless Jesus Fund and give your gifts now to New Life Evangelistic Center, P.O. Box 473, St. Louis, Missouri.
Welcome back. You're tuning in, you're watching News and Views. We just heard from Mr. Kamal Dockett. Now, Pastor Mark Glenn, you're up.
All right, so you are evangelical. You are evangelical Christian, and you have listened to now President Trump, candidate Trump, and the promises that he made. And as an evangelical Christian, these things, if you still support him, did not bother you. When he made racist remarks, when he used the F word and the B word, when he was lying about the size of crowds and Obama wiretapping him, when he twisted facts back and forth, when he said the Nazis had a point in that crowd, in that demonstration, and that it wasn't him groping women. So all these things as an evangelical Christian have not deterred you from supporting now President Trump. Now the question now is this: can you still support him when we have reports about a porn star by the name of Stormy Daniels and an affair that the president supposedly had? One more point before we go into discussion. Remember the Access Hollywood tape that came out talking about the president, where he actually said his own words, "I could grope him, I'm a star, they like it." That was October 7th, 2016. 10 days after that, supposedly, someone approached Stormy Daniels, a porn star, and supposedly paid her off to be quiet. 10 days after the Access Hollywood tape came out. So my question is this: can you still be an evangelical Christian? Can you still keep your moral compass and still support this president?
I mean, why not? I mean, he's one of the greatest presidents in recent history. And then on top of that, when you talk about what was the other alternative, you talk about crooked Hillary, who was a flat out, in my words, she's a gangster and a mobster, to say the least. This woman has destroyed nations. Her and her husband, they involved in criminal activity. A lot of the money, the hundreds of millions of dollars that they're worth, they have swindled nations like Haiti out of. So to even be talking about to be a Christian to support her, then you might as well just support the devil.
Get a reaction, Mark?
I'm trying to think of what part.
Because he knows it's all true. You know, but then you want to diminish Trump because this man is trying to do his job. Yeah, we all knew that Trump had a past. Nobody looked at Trump like the saint. Or like he was just this, you know, he never came across or tried to even promote that.
So what you're basically saying is a choice between two evils.
No,
And so you chose
Hillary was evil.
right, and you're saying Trump is not.
And I'm saying Trump is just who he is. See, Hillary tried to present herself like an angel of light, but she's wicked. She tried to act like she's for the people, we're for black people, and It was under.
So you don't have a problem coinciding your Christian beliefs with the actions of this president?
No, I'm not
no,
condoning.
leave Hillary
I'm not
out of it.
condoning. I'm
Leave
not
Hillary out of it.
condoning. You can't leave her because she's crooked.
No, you have to leave Hillary.
You gotta
She's
bring
not,
her
but she
always
is
into
not
it.
the president of the United States.
Thank God.
Okay,
but
so let's talk about the president of the United States and your Christian beliefs and your Christian faith. How do you reconcile both of them?
I don't see. The whole thing is this: with Donald Trump, I don't support a lot of his past actions. As a Christian believer, we're supposed to look past people's past and deal with the present.
Okay, so why did you say with Hillary?
Because she's still crooked.
Okay, and President Trump is not.
In what way?
Okay, what about his Russian involvement? You don't believe that
But
either?
see, that's all hearsay. You see,
Oh.
you read too many tabloid magazines.
Oh, right. I read-
Is this where the fake news comes
I read
from?
the fake news.
Right.
You see, you dealing with the fake news.
Yeah, right.
See, you need to get your news off of NBC or CBS. You watching Facebook
Okay.
too much. The whole thing is this.
It's coming. All right, it's coming. All
Bring
right.
it on.
Hold me back. Hold me back.
Go ahead, Mark.
but-
Respond.
but I-
Or-
but
you
I
know,
guess
wait,
my-
hold
my
on, hold
main
on,
thing
hold
is
on,
this.
one at a time,
My
one at a
main thing is this. I think when you look at the Trump presidency, he has been the most criticized president by far in history.
But come on.
Well, that is true.
He has been
That's
the
a
most
point.
criticized
Come on.
president in history.
Well, the reason why he's so criticized is because at one moment he's saying this, and another moment he's saying that.
About what?
I mean, look at the
You don't
simple
think it
thing.
has anything to do with him being a Republican?
No, not for me. Not for
I'm-
me.
It
We're
does.
talking
You
about
wouldn't even
everybody
be doing
else.
this report. If
If
Trump
he
was,
was a
And what the
Democrat,
Republican Party believes in, do you think that's why he's getting picked on? Do you
think-
think if he was Democrat, they'd pick on him as much?
yes,
no,
Why?
they would have to.
No,
I
no,
would.
they wouldn't.
Look at me, camera.
did it-
Look at me. If he was a Democrat and he did all these things, I'd be right on him just like I'm on Trump.
But you never said a bad word about Hillary.
I can say bad
And
words
this
about
woman
Hillary.
didn't murder
Wait,
people.
okay, you wanna
She
say
done
bad
had
words?
people murdered.
You
This
want to
woman did
say
swindle.
something
This
bad
woman
about Hillary?
did swindle the whole
You want
nation.
something bad about Hillary? Can you handle the truth? Okay, I'm disappointed in Hillary in many different ways, but she's not the president.
Thank
she
God.
well, thank God. We need one thing we need to do before we quit today,
Could
right?
have been Obama again.
Oh,
Maybe
man.
I think Obama was compared to Trump was a blessing, but
No, wait,
Anyway.
can I stop you for a second?
sure.
Obama was a blessing.
Well, to
You
me,
know, he stopped the Christian.
I don't agree with everything that Obama did, right? But I do agree with the fact
know
that
where I'm
he
going
tried.
with that, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I do agree with the fact that to me, he did a very good job in terms of representing the United States and following the traditions of things. I'm not saying it's necessary for a breakup, right? But I just had more confidence. I mean, I slept better at night.
Yeah, I had no confidence in
even though he did
Obama.
some things
He
that
was
are
the
wrong.
worst
And
president.
Hillary-
Was it the Christian rally on the White House and then let the Muslims do it instead of the
Right.
Christians?
He
did
passed
some
more,
things. He
he
did some
helped to pass more laws for the homosexual agenda. He never visited Israel.
Never.
He had no support for Israel. Obama, in my opinion, was the worst president in the United States history.
No, I can think of much more worse presidents.
Who?
In fact, the most current one right now named Trump. Anyway, before we go any further, I
Actually,
gotta get this in.
I think Carter looked good compared to Obama.
We gotta get this in before we leave. Okay, we must pray for our leaders, and I'm asking
right.
you right
That's
now
true.
to pray for President Trump. He is the president of the United States. I don't hate the man. I disagree with some of the things he does, but they all need our prayers.
That's right.
He has done some good things. I mean, he's trying to do something.
He's trying.
Trying to build the wall.
Well, his tone. I
With your,
understand.
with
I mean,
tax,
that's a good
wait a
thing.
minute,
Well,
wait a
building
minute,
a wall is a good thing.
I think it's a good thing.
trying to build a wall, trying to build a wall with our money. He said Mexico would pay for it, didn't he? Didn't he? Did he or did he
Well,
not?
we don't know if Mexico's not going to
Come
help
on,
us build
stop
it.
it.
Mexico said they're not going to do it. We're going to pay for that wall with our own tax
That's
money.
fine.
And I have no problem
I
with
don't
that.
have no problem
I have
with
no
that
The
problem
problem
with
I have
that.
is
I think
that's
that
not
we
what he,
need the wall.
that's not what he promised.
How many times does politicians do stuff they don't?
He's not a
promise?
politician. Everybody says, "Oh, he's not a politician." That's why you got to give him a learning
He's a
curve.
businessman.
Well, Hillary's not a politician.
Well, if he's a businessman and you had a contract where you said Mexico's going to build that,
I don't think he had a
that-
contract. He was trying to do that. That's why I said
Right.
we'll let Mexico help
Right.
help us
And
pay
Mexico
for it.
said, "To hell with it." Excuse me. They
Well,
said, "To hell with
he
it. We're not going to pay for
he
nothing."
probably spoke out of turn on. He probably should have checked that out before he actually promised that.
Well, I think so.
But honestly, I think the wall is a good thing
Yeah, I think
for
it is,
the
too.
citizens
It's
of the United
great.
States.
I think. Well, okay.
But you don't think so?
Well, I think it's a good idea, but I don't think we should have to pay for it. I think Mexico.
How you think
Why?
they're
No,
gonna
we
pay
Well,
pay
wait a
for it
minute.
because we're protecting ourselves.
Right.
So
But
we
wait
can
a
have our own
minute,
jobs.
Don't
what?
want the
We
wall.
should pay for it.
Okay, so it was just a selling point to the American people to say, "Hey, I'm going to build a wall, and guess what? Mexico's going to pay for it."
We got to go.
You sound just like Trump.
Whoa!
Oh, are my hands tiny? Oh,
I don't know. They look like it. They look like it. You're watching News and Views. Write us. P.O. Box 924, St. Louis, Missouri 63188. A bunch of crazy people on the phone. News and Views at knlc.tv is email as well. And check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Till next time, we'll catch you right back here on News and Views. God bless.